Sean, the question everyone at Xavier is curious about is the status of Colby Jones. Can you sort of fill us in on where he's at and his chances of playing on Friday?
Yeah, we're hopeful and optimistic that he can play. We're the day before the game right now, Adam, but his injury is serious enough and there's still enough unknown that, even today he's not going to practice. His ankle is getting better. I would take it out of a category of a bad sprain. He's made a tremendous amount of progress. Him and our training staff have worked diligently, throughout the day and in the evenings. Colby wants to play, and as long as he's not at risk, I think we're leaning in that direction. I hate to point it towards this, but it's one of those injuries where we'll know a lot more at shoot-around tomorrow, where we're a few hours before tip-off, and now we really have to make the call. But I think he wants to play. He's made a lot of progress. We're going to stay extra safe again today, and we'll hopefully know for sure tomorrow. But I think we're optimistic that he can play. And then the next part, in fairness to guys getting injured, is you have to be able to play well. You have to feel comfortable and confident. Colby is a veteran player, very smart guy. Got a lot of toughness to him as well. So I think those qualities are what we'll really call on if he's able to play in the game, because he's, as you know, missed in essence a week here.
What makes Indiana so tough?
Indiana, in my estimation, is probably as close to a complete team as you can have. If you start with just experience, their front line of, Trace Jackson Davis and Race Thompson, I feel like I've watched those guys play for 4 years. And, in fact, you have. They played a lot as freshmen, and they're still going at it. I think Trace speaks for himself, one of the best players that we have in college basketball. I think that their point guard position, Xavier Johnson, ditto with what I just said, is not only an excellent player, but he's experienced. A guy like Galloway, who's a really good role player for Indiana, is no longer an inexperienced role player. He's a veteran player. So I think it's their experience and talent at those positions that stand out. And then a big difference between a year ago and this year is just the talented freshmen and newcomers. I think that those guys, Shafino, and I know his family being from Pittsburgh, very, very good player, man. I think one of the best freshmen that will play in the Big Ten, and you could tell he has got a confidence level about him as a freshman. So, you have a couple younger players mixing in with veteran, older players, excellent defensive team, and I think a team that really does a great job using their defense to create those transition opportunities. And I think that's one of the keys to the game, is not allow that to happen.
Coach, it's only game 4, but it sort of feels like this is a game where you're going to learn quite a bit about your team, and it's not necessarily a game that's going to make or break your season. But is that right there what you're most excited about in a game like this, is what you're going to see from your team against a high-level opponent?
No, for sure. I mean, these are the games you want to play in. I think these are the games that you want to be in. It's Big East versus Big Ten. Clearly we have great respect for Indiana, have great respect. You just asked me a question about their team. For a coach to say I think they're as close to being complete as you can have, it's quite a compliment, and I really mean that. The balance they have, the kind of the star power and experience. We're not going to play teams with all those parts like they seem to have right now, and yet here we are before Thanksgiving. So it's going to be a big test. I think for our team, we have to play a great game. We have to play at a very high level. Like at the end of the game, individually, collectively, we're going to have to feel like this is as good as we can play to have a chance to beat Indiana. If we don't play well, it doesn't matter if the game's at home or who we have on our team. It won't be in the cards, because I think they're a very, very formidable opponent.
On Tuesday, without Colby, one of the guys who really stepped up was the guy who took his spot in the starting lineup, Adam Kunkel. And maybe you already felt this way, or maybe that performance on Tuesday sort of solidified it in your mind that maybe you have more than 6 starters on this team, guys that you're comfortable with and confident with? Is that sort of what you took away from that?
Well, I thought Adam Kunkel was great in the game. Injuries are a part of all of our path. You can't control it as a coach. But you got to remember, AK, he missed, in essence, a week himself. And I think that part of what you saw the other night is somebody that's now been practicing, feels really comfortable with an injury that he once had, and is really close to 100%. But his shot-making ability, and I talked about Indiana's experience. We have that as well, and I felt that the other night watching Kunkel play. He's been through games, he's been through many seasons. It was great to have that experience out there, and that's what's so important about Colby Jones. He's such a big part of what we do. My hope is that he can play, and if he does play, that he can be himself. That would be a big factor for us.